5.5 years ago, my girlfriend Courtney and I were invited to my sister's wedding, which was, weddings have a way of raising the stakes for unmarried couples. And we'd been dating probably a little less than a year. So some of those subtle questions and innuendos that have been circling through our conversations had really brought into the focus. Those questions, that typically are, aren't we cute together? And are we celebrating Thanksgiving this year? Had turned to, what do you think of a joint bank account? So I could sense the real question was hanging in the air. Mostly, where is this relationship going, and will this guy ever pop the question? So I stuck my sister's invite on the refrigerator door with a million other notifications. And as the weekend drew nearer, we were both really excited to celebrate with my family and friends. I was going to introduce Courtney to my family, and many of them had heard of Courtney, but not seen her. So the other thing I should share with you was 2 years prior to my sister's wedding, I had actually broken my hip. I was working in Guatemala for an international development organization, and on my evening commute home, walking along the side of the street, I was hit by a truck, and the impact had really, broke my hip. So naturally, they flew me back to the United States and went to the hospital. And during a routine hip repair surgery, I contracted an infection that went sideways, and I got really sick. And the doctors didn't know what was going on. And basically, after about a week of just fevers and delusion and just a terrible mess, I woke up in the ICU paralyzed. Needless to say, my family was had gone through the ringer. They were really worried about whether I was gonna live, and how bad I was paralyzed, and all of those questions. And I was kind of like coming to. I really didn't have any idea of what had happened. And at one point, I asked my doctor, "So, when is this numbness gonna wear away or wear off?" And it wasn't for a few months that I actually realized that there was a possibility that the numbness would never go away, and this wheelchair was here for good. So my family, my sisters, and my mother and father had really helped me recover. So let's see here. The other thing that I should tell you is that I went back to work way too early. I was working about 4 hours a week, and while it wasn't a lot, that is where I met Courtney. At first, during my work, during my 4 hours, I probably spent a half an hour on the chat trying to track down Courtney. And I approached our encounters pretty professionally and kindly as possible, but I realized quickly that she didn't really mind the hot mess that I was. And I think that gave me the green light to proceed Courtney with like reckless abandon. Damn the torpedoes. And in fact, she was actually dating somebody else. So I wasn't really holding my breath. I was just kind of like having fun. And so our office chatter turned into after work texting, which then turned into all hours texting, which then turned into her sneaking over to my parents' house after dark, and then coffee dates. Like our relationship was actually happening. It was amazing. And while I was really attracted to her, I kind of in the back of my head knew that nothing would come of it because, I was a disabled man in a wheelchair, and I kind of considered myself damaged goods. So a few months later, after I had gone on coffee dates and convinced her to sneak over to my house once, I also convinced her somehow to go to happy hour with me. And it was after one of my physical therapy sessions, and I was feeling particularly spirited. It was the first day I'd actually driven by myself. And I think, we were just really enjoying the moment. And Courtney was complaining about her boyfriend. And somewhere in the middle of her complaining, I kind of just stopped her and I was like, look, you gotta dump this loser. And actually, you're pretty amazing. You're beautiful. You could have any guy you wanted. And so let me just tell you, yeah, like quit bitching and just like dump him and go find your guy. And I spoke with this conviction of someone giving honest advice to a friend who had impartial clarity and really nothing to gain. Um, and I think that probably served me kind of well. But that happy hour, and during that happy hour, we really connected, and something shifted, and I felt like I finally, in my recovery, I found solid ground. I was starting to connect in a meaningful way, and there was like a horizon. And so a week after that, or somewhere near after, she dumped the loser, and we started dating. So the other thing I should tell you is that from coffee dates, I graduated to visiting her apartment on the second floor with no elevator. So without any hesitation, Courtney, my beautiful, strong, sexy, athletic soccer player babe friend, offered to give me a piggyback ride up the stairs to her apartment. Yes, please. So with ease, she picked me up and we floated up the stairs. And after many trips, we actually got comfortable with this routine. And somehow it surprises me that she never got used to me tickling her or grabbing her boobs halfway up. I was flirting with disaster, but she never dropped me. So back to the wedding. We had a wonderful time, and the wedding was a weekend, and the family was staying in 3 large houses, and the house that we stayed in had a grand staircase that went from the sidewalk about 15 or 20 steps up to the porch into the home. And all weekend, the guys on my sister's wedding party were helping me in and out of the house, and there were a lot of places to go. But I never had to use the terrible, mechanized, slow, noisy stair lift clown contraption that was designed to humiliate people with disabilities. And I saw that thing and I was like, no way, there's no way I'm using that clown contraption, as I like to call it. It brought out the demons in me. It just made me feel disabled. So I welcomed the help up and down the stairs. So we went to the wedding, had a wonderful time, and there was cake and laughter. And by the end of the evening, Courtney and I decided to wrap it up and head home. We get to the house, and there we were, looking up the steps, this grand staircase. Courtney was in a beautiful dress, in her heels, and I thought, oh man, I feel really bad. I really just don't want to ask Courtney to give me a piggyback ride. Maybe there's another way. So in my pride and my short-sightedness, I suggested that maybe Courtney, you pull me up the stairs backwards like a wheelbarrow. And well, she did it. Step by step, we made it one at a time, all the way to the top. And then something shifted, something slipped, and time froze, and the anticipation of what was inevitable unfolded before us. And as the slip turned into a fall, I think horror just kind of rained down on us. And I tipped out of my wheelchair forward, down these steps, tumbling to the concrete sidewalk. And I hit the concrete sidewalk with a thud. And I was actually surprised that it didn't hurt. But over my shoulder, I could see that clown contraption. And I could also see Courtney at the top of the stairs racing down to gather me, crying tears in horror. And we're just trying to comprehend what had just happened. And what had gone through my head, or what I was realizing, is that if I didn't get over my ego, if I didn't let this ego blow like kill my ego, I guess, open up acceptance for a way forward. I was never going to make it up the stairs. And so I think that weekend, I did deal a blow to those demons that were haranguing me. And a few weeks later, I asked Courtney to marry me, and she said yes. And that the rest is happy history.